Steinhaus, and welcome to Money Chat Now. Money Chat Now is a politically charged stock market pre-show giving you the politics of the day and the biggest moves in the stock market. It is presented with comedic common sense and just the right amount of sarcasm by an expert in financial literacy, and hey, that's me, Larry Steinhaus. All right, for today's show, my producer has prepared a best-of compilation for your enjoyment. It features some of the most intense, informative, and hilarious segments featured on the show. Hey, you think I'm funny? Wait till you see some of these segments. Be sure to like and share the video and tell me in the comments what your favorite segment for the show was. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and follow Money Chat Now on social media. That way you'll never miss a show. Be sure to tune into Money Chat Now every day at 7:30 a.m. for all the latest going on in politics and the stock market. Hey, enjoy the video and don't forget to make it a profitable day. Now you know that Biden has decreed that $10,000 of student loan debt will be forgiven for those who have student loans with the government. Some of you screamed and yelled, and others embraced it. You know, for those who watch the show, you know that I'm for it, but not for the reasons that the government did it, and especially not how they did it. I just like the idea that some people got relief from the predatory system that allows them to get this loan at 18 years old. Not to rehash all of this, but of course, wow, not to rehash all of this, but there are a few lawsuits being filed that may, that kind of may stop or delay this political stunt by the government. According to Biden and the other Democrats looking to buy votes in the midterms, many should be able to apply for the student loan forgiveness this month. But the court challenges may change this. Here's the situation. First of all, Biden took advantage of the emergency order issued during the scamdemic and abused his power to forgive the students' loans. To me, this should be a crime. But hey, then again, if his kid can get away with stealing, embezzlement, drug use, drug dealing, child pornography, and other crimes, I guess the minor crime of stealing from the cookie jar known as the Treasury is still a pretty minor crime. So now we have the student loan forgiveness according to law. If a situation like forgiving hundreds of thousands of borrowers can affect someone financially, they can challenge the decision. So as many of you said, this is BS because I'm paying for this loan instead of the original borrower, in that it comes from my tax dollars, right? So here's what some smart attorneys have done to challenge the student loan forgiveness. 6 Republican-led states, Arkansas, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, and South Carolina, all filed lawsuits to block Biden's action. State officials argue that the president doesn't have the power to issue nationwide debt relief without Congress. I completely agree with this one. This was a complete overreach of power. However, that we have seen in the last 3 years, more and more overreach of power by the government is not going to change. The problem is they can't win on this one. So basically, the Republicans say that they say this is an overreach, and they're definitely not going to win. All right, to forgive students' loan, it also needs to be an act of Congress, not a declaration by the dictator. But because of his emergency powers, the dictator will get away with it. Here's the second part of the lawsuit that may do some damage to Biden's plan. The officials are also claiming that this policy would harm private companies that service some of the federal student loans by reducing their business. If it can be proven true, then they would need to go through Congress, or the president would have to use another legal order to make the service companies whole again. So there's another challenge over taxes. Because these loans are being forgiven tax-free, the attorneys are arguing that the tax burden is being shifted to the taxpayer, as we said earlier. Like, I know you're all on the edge of your seats right now saying, the student loan forgiveness will never happen because of these lawsuits. Well, the reality is these lawsuits are kind of weak. The attorneys would have to prove that the actual damage in actual figures. The problem is that they won't be able to do this. They can't quantify the actual damages, and the damages are appearing to be pure speculation. But here's the only good news that might happen from this lawsuit. The student loan forgiveness may be delayed about a month or two, and that would make the bribe to try to keep the Democrats in power a little less effective. On the other hand, a challenge like this could also extend the student loan payment pause that's been in effect for 3 years. We'd think that now that Biden, who officially declared that COVID is over in an interview, he would end the emergency powers that have been enacted, right? But once the dictator has a taste of power, they won't give it up so easily. I did take a look at the student government loan website to see if I could find any guidance on how to apply for the forgiveness, and only information I found so far was to contact your loan servicer. So basically, they still haven't even figured out how this process is going to work, nor have they announced it or how it's going to work. So the scamdemic continues, and the scam president, along with his scam cabinet and his scam policies, will continue to scam America until we the people do something about it. One more month to Election Day. Make sure you do something. Try to stop the communists and the mob bosses in Washington from taking your freedom away. You guys remember during the scamdemic, entertainment companies like AMC theaters almost shut down and went bankrupt? AMC was hit pretty hard when their stock dropped as low as $1.30 a share. But just so you know, before the great scamdemic, the stock hovered comfortably in the 11 to 10-11 range. Well, when the meme stock craze hit AMC, they were caught up in a momentum, and the stock went to some crazy numbers and was as high as 36. So imagine buying the stock at $1.30 and then selling it a few months later for 36. That would have been awesome. Anyway, as the meme stock craze ended, because the kids in the basement of their mom's house needed to go back to work, the stock dropped and then dropped again. All right, some who were crazy enough to buy this in the 30s are still waiting for it to come back. Well, folks, Bitcoin will hit 50,000 before AMC will hit 40. So this ain't happening. Neither one is happening. The company is struggling with sales once again as blockbuster movies are scarce again. Look, some movies are even being released on paid subscription services the same day they open in theaters. I don't know if you saw this movie, the Halloween movie is going to be released on Paramount and the theater at the same time. Nobody's going to go watch it. So that's also becoming a problem. Look, if I can watch the movie in my pajamas in the comfort of my house, I'd much rather do that than drive to the theater to see it. Theaters in the past have struggled to make money on the actual movie, and of course, they decided concession sales are the best way to make profits. Like the $10 tub of popcorn. But the theater doesn't have, if they don't have a movie to bring the people in, they aren't selling popcorn to anyone at any price. Anyway, for now, AMC has enough cash in hand to survive and operate for the next several years. Then this was said by Eric Handler. He's a media and entertainment analyst at MKM Partners. So as of June 30th, AMC had available liquidity of more than $1.17 billion. Look, its shares slump, he added, is purely about the capital structure. However, the company continues to bleed money, and at $6 a share, they still might be overpriced, is what he said. AMC took a risk last year and bought a gold mine. No, really. They bought an actual gold mine. What? They took some of their capital and added an asset to the company, and the gold mine company that AMC has about 22% ownership in was a failing gold mine that AMC believes that they can recover it and make them some money. I'm wondering if there's going to be a documentary on how AMC went out of business because they bought a gold mine. I actually wonder if it'll be the last film that AMC plays in its theater. My guess is that the recession is coming, and all the subscription entertainment services and theaters will be smaller and smaller and more gimmicky to attract patrons in different ways. I wouldn't be surprised if a drive-in theater doesn't make a comeback in some way or another. Look, we've seen other ideas, such as the seats folding down into beds or table service in a theater. I like theaters, but, I hate it when the guy I sit next to, and it happens every time, has to explain the movie to his girlfriend while I'm trying to watch the movie. Shh. So Elon Musk, of course, as you know, offered to buy Twitter early this year in a move that surprised the board of directors. For those who forgot, it all started when he was announced that Elon Musk bought 9% of the stock of Twitter. There were rumors that Musk was going to be on the board of directors, but then the surprise of everyone was when Musk blurted out that he would buy the company for $54.20 a share. Well, Wall Street reacted to the offer, and Twitter stock took off. It was about 51 when several people reached out to me and asked me if they should buy it. My answer at the time? Wait. Because Musk often pulls a fast one. And it's kind of like his MO. His MO is controversy. Sure enough, he starts to back out of the deal, claiming that Twitter had lied about how many bots and fake users accounts that the platform might have had. He even proved that half the users responding to Biden's Twitter account are fake. It was also surmised that Musk, if he bought the company, would make major changes to the policies of Twitter, which included what some call, free speech. This concept was an old concept that was put in an old document many years ago. It was called the United States Constitution. I don't know if anybody remembers it. Something about freedom of expression and the right to voice an opinion. Freedom. I think they still have this policy in a country called Florida. Anyway, the platform, like so many others, has been suppressing all opinions that don't conform to the opinion of the politics of the board of directors or the censors at Twitter or the Democrat Party for that matter. Musk made a statement that he wants to change this by buying Twitter. Well, when he attempted to back out, Twitter filed suit in a Delaware court demanding what is called specific performance. They were basically suing him to complete the deal to buy the company. A few more things came up, such as a whistleblower who said that Twitter had many security breaches, as well as offering more proof of Musk's claims about the fake accounts. The court date was set for the middle of this month, October, and what happened was, well, basically Musk surprised everyone this week when he declared that he was going to buy the company for the agreed price of $54.20. The stock soared 9 points and sat at about 51 again. What do you think happened? People reached out to me again. Should I buy Twitter stock at 51? I'll make a quick $3. I said, it ain't over yet. Just wait. So yesterday, after the market closed, Twitter announced that they're not dropping the lawsuit against Musk for specific performance. I'm thinking the lawyers for Twitter have been watching my show, because I said it over and over again that that Musk will pull a fast one and continue to play games. Well, apparently the lawyers for Twitter agree, and they said they will not drop the lawsuit. Musk's lawyers wrote to the court with the following statement: Twitter will not take yes for an answer. Astonishingly, they have insisted on proceeding with the litigation, recklessly putting the deal at risk and gambling with their stockholders' interests. Basically, Musk argued that the trial would distract his team from securing the financing necessary to close the deal. Cut me a break, Elon. I'm a big fan, but come on. Look, that is such bulldinky. Distract you from getting financing? Yeah, right. The Twitter lawyers came back and said that Musk's proposal is an invitation to further mischief and delay. I happen to agree with the lawyers on this one. Musk is the master manipulator, and he could very well be just stalling. The Twitter lawyers also alleged that earlier in the day, an unnamed corporate representative of one of the leading banks involved in the deal testified that Musk has yet to send them a borrowing notice and has not otherwise communicated to them that he intends to close the transaction, let alone on any particular deadline. Musk continues to insist that he will close the deal by October 28th. Twitter contends that Musk does not have the funding and is just stalling the lawsuit. Well, as the papers flew back and forth across the judge's desk, the judge agreed with both sides in a brilliant decision. The judge said the lawsuit will be delayed until October 28th, and if Musk closes the deal as promised on or before October 28th, the lawsuit is dropped and all is well. So basically, Musk has 21 days from now to close this deal. But the drama isn't over yet. Just wait for the next move by Musk. I'm sure it's going to be a doozy. Hey, do you guys all remember when we had the greatest president this country had seen in over 50 years? You know, the great Donald Trump. Do you remember what the House of Representatives spent all their time doing while he was president? Well, by the way, the main job of the House of Representatives, according to the United States Constitution, is to make and pass federal laws. Yes, they also have a side responsibility to initiate revenue bills, impeach federal officers, and elect the president in case of an electoral collegiate tie. Well, while Trump was president, which of these responsibilities did they focus on? Oh yeah, I remember. They focused on trying to impeach Trump over and over and over and over again. They tried and they tried and they tried. Finally, with some dumb and unfounded measure, they impeached him for asking about some illegal activity that Joe Biden had done in the past. And this was proven that Biden did exactly the activity that Trump accused him of. If you didn't know what it was, Biden asked for an official in Ukraine to be fired when that official opened up an investigation to investigate Joe Biden's son Hunter. So using the term quid pro quo, you know, the term that was so popular a few years ago, Joe Biden threatened Ukraine to fire this investigator or he would hold back funding to Ukraine. But of course, Biden was not president when he did this. He was, however, vice president when he made that threat, right? Anyway, not to bore you with the details of the past during the impeachment of Trump, many of us real Americans said this was a waste of time and a waste of taxpayer dollars to have the House of Representatives spend the majority of their time on the impeachment. They should have been doing other things that are much more important. Well, guess what happened this past week? The Republicans have now just secured enough seats in the House to take it over. Well, Joe, it's payback time. Do you remember that Russian hoax that was called Hunter Biden's laptop? You know, the one had so much incriminating evidence on it that most people would go to jail for just holding it. The one that had the evidence of child pornography and pictures of Hunter Biden snorting crack cocaine. Oh, and evidence that Hunter and Joe Biden were collecting money on the side from Ukraine in the form of bribes to give favoritism to Ukraine, as long as the big guy was compensated. You know, the big guy. I wonder who that could be. Well, with the GOP in charge of the House, their next move is to investigate the Biden family for some serious crimes. Payback time. But wait till you hear this response from the White House. Instead of working with the President Biden to address issues important to the American people, like lower costs, congressional Republicans' top priority is to go after President Biden with politically motivated attacks, choking a long history of debunked conspiracy theories. This was said by Ian Sams, a spokesperson for the White House Counsel Office. Oh, I see. We shouldn't waste our time on finding the truth. Of course not. We should waste our time on making up stories that have no basis in reality. You know, like when they impeached Trump twice, or investigating the so-called insurrection that was less deadly than any Black Lives Matter rally. Can you imagine the nerve of these people in the House of Representatives trying to investigate a sitting president, especially one as clean as Joe Biden? Ha! James Comer of Kentucky and Jim Jordan of Ohio held a press conference Thursday to detail their impending investigations into the Biden administration. Comer, who is set to chair the House Oversight Committee, said whistleblowers, wherever I heard that term from, have come forward to detail how Hunter Biden and his relatives flourished and became millionaires simply by offering access to the family. Comer wants to know, was Joe Biden directly involved with Hunter Biden's business deals, and is he compromised? That is our investigation, he said. Of course, Joe Biden continues to deny any wrongdoing or involvement in the crimes. Wasn't this the guy who said that at the debate with Trump, the laptop is a Russian hoax? Yeah, right, Joe. Hey, Joe, maybe Joe's mental health problems are all made up. Maybe his bumbling and fumbling may be just a way to keep himself from testifying. Hey, listen, if he isn't of sound mind, nothing he said can be considered credible. Maybe he's going to use the excuse of senility to avoid testifying. I can't wait to see how this turns out. It'll be fun to be on the side of justice, or at minimum the side of revenge for the 3 years we had to put up with this crap from the Democrat-run state of representatives. Unbelievable. Favorite politician to make fun of had resigned recently, and Liz Truss is now the Prime Minister of England. Truss has very different ideas and values than her predecessor. She is very conservative and she's pro-capitalism. Truss is also a big believer in what is known as trickle-down theory. For those of you who don't know what trickle-down theory is, or for those dumbocrats watching this show, trickle-down theory is the most logical financial theory ever thought of, and it simply says the obvious. If companies who hire people to work for them are doing well, they can afford to pay their employees more and hire more employees. Opponents to trickle-down theory just say it just treats those, rich, greedy business owners with privilege. Let me get this straight for those who still have rocks in their head. When large companies do well, the economy does well. Always and without fail. So that now that we have that straight, in an effort to help companies do well, conservative capital leaders often create tax breaks for companies. What does a tax break do exactly? Well, it creates, it lets if a company pays less taxes, it can use that extra money to grow. When a business grows, what does that mean to the economy? Simply, it means that they will need more people to run the company. Many of the anti-capitalist leaders have destroyed more economies by increasing taxes on companies. It causes these companies to contract and then causes unemployment and dependency on the government for the citizens of the country. If you need a reference for how trickle-down theory really works and what happens when businesses close or contract, you only have to look back 2 years to see what happened during the scamdemic. When businesses were forced to close by the dictator leaders, millions sought unemployment. It was a handout from the government. The businesses if the businesses could do business, so the employees could not do business, I should say, so the employees will let go. That, my friend, is trickle-down theory as well. When businesses are hurting, the economy is also hurting. For those who are too young to remember, there was another great president of this country. It was Ronald Reagan, who in the 80s had the term Reaganomics used for his policies of boosting the economy and boosting the trickle-down. He actually decided to give tax cuts and tax incentives to businesses to try to get us out of then what was one of the worst recessions ever. I was just out of high school when I learned of the idea of tax cuts and tax incentives when I applied for a sales job. The owner of the company said he was expanding his staff only because of a specific tax break given to companies who hired people during that time. If I remember correctly, for every dollar he paid to an employee, he got a tax break of 50 cents on every dollar. Now, don't quote me on that, but it was the impression he gave me. Now, getting back to England and the new Prime Minister, Liz Truss, Truss is a fan of Reaganomics and is a bigger fan of trickle-down theory. She is intending on giving tax breaks to large corporations to help restart the economy that is crashing over there. But wait, here's what this story is leading up to. Well, our sort of President Biden is mocking her on Twitter. He actually tweeted this as a response to her policies. I am sick and tired of trickle-down economics. It has never worked. We're building on an economy from the bottom and the middle up. That was his tweet. Clearly, he does not believe in trickle-down economics. He obviously believes in trickle-up economics. You know, he gets his 10% as the big guy. Hey, brain-dead Biden, do you know why the economy did so well before you wrecked it? It was because of the tax cuts that Trump implemented. When he lowered taxes, companies had incentives to hire more people and manufacture more goods here in the United States. You have effectively destroyed this economy with your middle-out economics. And by the way, what the heck is middle-out economics anyway? Oh, I know what it is. Is inflation middle-out economics? Because if that's all you have to give us so far, it's obvious that must be what it is. So Liz Truss, who plans to bring her economy back from the brink of liberal leaders of the past, is being schooled by Joe Biden. I wonder if she's even stopped laughing yet. Oh, by the way, Liz, I often teach people to do the exact opposite of what losers are doing. So whatever Biden does, do the opposite and your country will thrive. Well, it's that time of year again. You know, the time of year where we teach our children how socialism really works. You know, they knock on their door and they say trick or treat. It sounds like a modern day socialism to me. The threat is pretty real, right? What they do is they knock on your door and they say trick or treat, and you know, whether you give them candy or face the consequences. Maybe this is where the millions of people who burn down buildings and cancel culture have learned it from. Well, the reality is that this is a fun day for many of the kids as they compete to see who can get the most candy. I remember emptying my bags of treats, counting them, and comparing the number to my brother. I always wanted to have more candy than him, you know, to win the game, right? That might explain a lot about my life today. Anyway, so today, basically, you're going to be handing out candy, and you may have your house dark to fend off the socialists who come to threaten you with a trick instead of a treat. The Halloween tradition of giving candy started in the 1800s, by the way. And apparently at the time, taffy was the big treat. I guess that must have been when dentistry was also started. Anyway, this year, $10.6 billion will be spent on Halloween candy and decorations. $10.6 billion. Interestingly enough, it's pretty evenly spread, with about 1/3 going to candy, 1/3 going to costumes, and the remaining third going to decorations and other items such as cards. This year, the most popular Halloween candy will be Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, huh? Followed by Skittles and then M&M's. By the way, my favorite are the little bars of Snickers and the Baby Ruth. Those are my personal favorites. I like those the best, especially the little Baby Ruth bar. Apparently, the most popular costume this year will be the Nancy Pelosi costume. Yep, the witch costume is the #1 costume this year. My costume this year was an orange jumpsuit that said Facebook jail on it. And if you haven't seen the picture, look at my Instagram and my Facebook wall. Last year I saw some interesting costumes that also included light-up portions of the costume. I thought that those were pretty impressive. You know, by the way, the #2 most popular costume is Spider-Man, followed by a dinosaur. What a strange mix of costumes. So you get yourself ready for the walk of socialism tonight, and don't be fooled by those little commie brats. They won't really trick you, and you know, if you don't give them a treat, unless of course maybe they're holding up, I don't know, a Black Lives Matter sign, then give them a whole bowl. Hey, I want to thank you for watching Money Chat Now. Don't forget, we are live every morning at 7:30 on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And of course, you can also find repeats of the show on Rumble and Spotify. My name is Larry Steinhaus. I am the host of Money Chat Now, and I am the CEO of Investor Schooling. Don't forget, you can also contact me directly at contactlarry.com. That's contactlarry.com. And I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Make it a profitable day.